I wake up feeling even smaller, even when the storm is over.
Well, that was a bit of a dramatic couple of days, wasn't it? God, the storms absolutely ripped through this site. I think there's only about 6 polytunnels left. I popped over the day. My sweet peas are looking absolutely amazing, and so are the onions. So yeah, I'm really happy about those. So I think I'm gonna get these inside, harden them off in the polytunnel now until the frosts go, and then they can be planted out. The onions are pot on, but I wanted to bring them over because I didn't want them to be, you know, going too, shooting up in the heat in my house. So they'll come over here and they'll slow grow over here. So let's pop in the polytunnel. So what I'll do now is I'll put a cloche over this. So luckily these trays, I think I get them from like B&Q. They're about £2 or £3, and then you can also buy the separate lids that come over, and they're really hard plastic. So I've got a few of those that fit on these. And the good thing about these trays is it fits on my shelving unit at home that I've set up now. I've got 3 sets of grow lights on it, and that'll now start ready for, you know, potting on the chilies, planting and sowing the tomatoes. And then, yeah, by the time, you only need them for about 2 months, and then everything can come over to the polytunnel. But if you want to start things off a bit quicker than others, then grow lights are the way, but just be careful that there is a bit of cost involved in them. But yeah, so I brought these over now, and look at them, they're looking fantastic, you know, the sweet peas and the onions. So you don't want to leave them over in the heat too long because they get excited and they'll think that it's spring. So I'll bring them over here now and I'll stunt them a bit. They'll sulk for a few days, but I'll put a cloche over, and then if it becomes too cold, put a fleece over. They'll keep nice and new. And oh, look what else I got. I also brought over the rocket, and I can see now that it's desperate ready to be planted out. There was only a few sprinkles over here, but look at it. This would be a perfect little microgreen now. But I'm gonna, and do you know what? It tastes absolutely amazing. So I think I'm gonna plant some of this up in the polytunnel as well. You can start rocket now. If you haven't already, sow some now. It doesn't like the summer, so it'll bolt in summer. So cool spring temperatures, and autumn as well, another time you can sow it. But it's perfect in a salad in spring, and it's amazing. I love rocket. So a few weeks ago I mentioned on a live that I couldn't get these fast root success kits, and Ian from over on Grow Local, I'll put a link to his website underneath. He actually messaged me and said, we've actually got some coming up in stock, and would you like me to send you some? He sent me 3 of these, which are perfect. I already bought the deep ones, which I'll show a picture now of those, and they're perfect for things like sweet peas, French beans, runner beans, things like that, because they do like a good deep amount of root space. But these ones, these are perfect. Let me show you them. So they come in a tray, and also they've got a plastic cloche underneath, and this is the reason I wanted them. It's because you can protect things, and I definitely, this time of year, you want to have that extra bit of coverage to keep things from freezing in your polytunnel or your greenhouse. But let me show you the ingenious things that these are. These are from Garland, and I love Garland products. I've got quite a few things. Now, you would have seen normal root trainers, and they look pretty similar to these, that they clip together. These ones are more robust, and you just clip them open. Now, this is genius, honestly. Like, I'm so impressed with the kit that they've got. It's got 24 in them, and they're so robust. And the good idea is that once you've got everything planted up and there's a good root ball in there, you can gently open them up, and it won't disturb the root, you know, the root ball inside, and you can plant up. So I'm so happy that I've got 3 of these now. I'm gonna go and buy a few more. I'll pop a link in the description for these, but thank you, Ian from Grow Local, for these. They'll be perfect. And I know there's a new version coming out as well. It's got it's a little bit deeper, and it's got a watering you know, reservoir underneath. So I'll probably end up getting a few of those as well. But yeah, I thought I'd show you these because they're handy if you want a nice robust tray. You know, if you want to make amend and use things that you've already got, perfect. You know, use those as well. You don't need to. You can use like takeaway containers and things like that. But if you want things that are going to be a bit more robust and last a long time, and plus these match my outdoor raised beds as well. Speaking of raised beds, so I bought myself some more raised beds. These ones are you know, circular, and I decided that I'm going to put one over here. I had a nice sweet pea structure here last year, if you remember. I had one at the back. Now I am being mindful, and people are probably wondering, why are you buying so many raised beds? And the reason for this area is that I'm being mindful of the hedgehog population that we've got. As you know, I'm protecting a little gang of hedgehogs, and Archie and Fonz and all the rest of the gang, they were all introduced, you know, in late summer last year, and I was worried that with the nets on the floor they might get snared in there and caught in there. So I thought if I raise up a bit, they, you know, they can still weave around the beds and look for things and all. I'm not worried so much about them climbing in the beds, because, you know, they're going to want those baby slugs, and there's plenty more area here for them to dig down and look for grubs and bugs. But the raised beds I wanted up a little bit because I didn't want them getting caught in there, and that would be an absolute sad thing to happen, because I'm hoping now in spring they'll come out when it gets nice and warm, go find themselves some girlfriends and boyfriends, and yeah, just breed in the area and have a nice protective space of the allotment. So that's hopefully what's going to happen. But yeah, people have been asking me about Archie and Fonz and all the rest of them, so they're all, I'm sure they're all fine. Fingers crossed they'll come out of hibernation in spring and just do their thing. But it's nice that we've got an allotment site that hopefully will protect them a bit as well and keep them off the road. So yeah, that's the plan. But I thought I'd just explain, because people were asking, you know, how come there's such an increase in raised beds on this area, and that's the reason why. So the raised beds, I've bought 2 cream ones which I had for a while now. They're going to go at the back, and that will be the salads, because last year I had fantastic salads there because it was nice and cool. The sun, they had a good nice morning sun, but the evening then they were shaded a little bit, and that's perfect for salads. You don't want it to have baking heat all the time, they'll just bolt. So they'll grow over there nicely. So I thought I'll have 2 more salad beds there. The other 2 will be for flowers, which will be for my teepees. Last year, fantastic sweet peas, so they've been brought over as I just showed you, and hopefully we'll have a nice big flurry of flowers again this year. So we had the live on Thursday. If you haven't seen it, pop over, it's still on my channel, and under the live section we discussed tomatoes, and we had some experts on there. We also had Steve Digwell on there as well, but you know, swings and roundabouts. No, we all talked about tomatoes and give hints and tips. It was so informative, and you know, Chris from Veggie Plot as well, he inputted by showing us all his weird varieties, and he loves a bit of colour as well, you know. So yeah, go and have a look at that live. It'll give you loads of tips and tricks about tomatoes. So and it was a bit of fun as well. But speaking of which, my tomatoes will be going in probably the middle of February, maybe a little week after, you know, closer to March, but we'll see. But the chilies, they're all coming up right now. Oh my god, they are looking amazing. I have already been, I'm so happy with them this year. The chili shake, peri peri, cayenne, kabachi, murasaki, the Anaheims and Maconis, and the bananas still haven't come up. I'm a little bit disappointed with them, but I've never ever managed to grow the Maconis. Maybe it needs a bit more heat. So I mean, it might need to increase the heat, you know, on the heat mat underneath. But also the Violet Night aubergines, they're looking amazing as well. So I'm really happy now. And also the Red King F1 peppers, 100% germination on them. You know, an F1, you know, you're pretty much certain that it's going to come up, but you know, so far so good. Everything's looking good. They're all growing under the grow lights, keeping a bit of warmth on them and protection. So I'm over the moon now. We've got a good amount of peppers, good amount of chilies, and won't be long before we'll be doing tomatoes. But do not worry if you haven't got heat mats, grow lights, you know, a nice propagation area. It's not needed, it's a luxury, so don't be panicking. They will grow just as well on a, you know, on a windowsill. They'll just take a little bit longer, that's all. But you know, tomatoes always, I think heat mats and grow lights and all are for the impatient gardeners like me. You know, I like them having growing on really strong and big, but you know, nature will always find a way. So don't be stressing if you haven't got them. Just pop them on your windowsill in a little plant pot, and they'll do their thing. I also bought some more Babington leeks, the perennial leeks. If you haven't grown them, highly recommend them. I did actually plant some more up last year, and they were growing so well, and then I foolishly dropped a few compost bags on them through the summer, and I don't know if they're okay underneath, so I didn't want to gamble. I bought some more little bulbs, and I think you can get them on, you know, online and things, and they're not too expensive, but they're perfect. You plant them in and they last forever. All you do is just keep chopping down, you know, the shoots on the top, the greenery, and just use them like a leek substitute. They're perfect, you know. Perennial leeks are the way forward. Perennial plants are the way forward anyway, but you know, it's just nice that they'll be there. I still grow leeks, but they're there, and I think I'm going to put them at the back of the plot a bit now this year, and because I keep putting, you know, they're in the traffic area of the garden, so they're all looking great over in the grow area, in the studio. The live studio, God, it's turning into a little space station. There's cameras and tripods and stands and lighting and everything else in between now. But the lives, you know, are a big part of the channel through autumn and winter, and I'll still be doing some through spring and summer as well, but I'm unsure how I'm going to schedule that yet, because we'll be too busy planting and gardening anyway. But they're a perfect thing to add into autumn and winter when we're all craving to garden talk and keeping the community alive and keeping spirits up as well in the garden. So I'm so pleased that everyone's enjoying them. I really am. And as you just seen at the start of the video, the storm damage on the site this year, there is not many polytunnels left. Now, I think there's about 6 left on site. They have been crushed, crumpled and damaged. Greenhouses lost all their glass. It was one of the worst ones that I've known, but luckily she's still standing. But so many people sadly, you know, lost their tunnels, and I feel for them, I really do, because now's the time when you want to start using it to harden things off and plan for spring and summer, and you've just been bashed, you know, it just hurts your feelings and it really pushes you down. So if that's happened to you, don't let it get to you. Continue gardening, focus on learning from what happened, and it just happens, you know, and it could happen to me, could happen to anyone. But yeah, so I just hope now that that's the end of it for a while. We can have a bit of a breather, because the last couple of weeks has been battered down rain, then the wind. It's just nuts. The weather's been nuts. And I'm worried that summer's going to be just as bad by having heat wave after heat wave. As much as I like the heat, I hope not. And you've probably noticed by now that I've got this new bit of kit for the growing area, and it's an ob spot, and it basically just follows you around with a camera. So thank you so much to my members. You are absolutely helping me so much, you know, by giving those little donations. They're contributing to the channel, they're contributing towards the growing area. So I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who's become a member of the channel. Generally, truly touched that you want to do that. It's very optional, and I'm honestly, thank you so much. But you know, I'm gonna have to get used to that, because I'm always used to having such static things, and I used to be envious that people got cameras and they can have someone film and walk around. But like, at least now, you know, I can put my hand up and it changes back and forth, so it can decide whether or not I want it to be following me or not. And also, if you haven't noticed, I popped over as well and I put nets on the raised beds. I cut the net to size. I used some of the old hoops that I have, and yeah, at least they're protected now from the allium leaf miner later on in the season. And also it helped from the winds and the rain a little bit as well. But you know, the rain is good, but you don't want it bashing down on all your plants all the time. So they're nice and protected now, they're out of the way. And yeah, it's always those little jobs that you forget and then later on regret it. So if you haven't already, make sure you've got your garlic, your onions, your spring onions, your leeks and whatnot, allium family, all netted over before we get to spring, because you will regret it later on, I promise you. Allium leaf miner, nightmare. So the nets did kind of work. There's a little bit of damage, so I'll have to clip them on today. I bought extra clips as well, which I'll use today. I want to build these beds and locate this extra circular one at the top. And I think this growing area here is done. We've got a bit more to do on this bed here, but I'm happy. We haven't got much left to do now on this area. The grapevine garden, another story, but we've got loads to do down there, but I'm really excited. The purple sprouting broccoli, that's looking fab now. Also the garlic. So the garlic over here is looking all right. This is Jane's growing garlic. I'm hoping she's planted hers now, so I won't have to give it her. But if she does, it's sure for Jane. So there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. I think there might be nine garlics in there. So they're looking okay. As I showed you before, the fig stems are here. We've had a bit of damage through the storms. Some of the old figs now are dying off, but the smaller ones will be this year's crop, hopefully. I want to put the bed back in today, the white one, so I'm going to build that now. I've already started to build them, and if you're buying these beds, my advice would be to do what I do and build them at home, or at least build them in 4 pieces. I do the sides and the straight parts, then I keep separate, and then when I come over there, I've only literally got to put in about 20 bolts rather than the 500 bolts that you have to put in these. So build some of it at home, pop them in your car and bring them over, because there's nothing worse than in autumn and winter building freezing cold metal beds. So my tip would be build some of it at home. And it's really handy then as well, because I can just bring them up and build them where I need them. So this have already started to subside. So this part of the area started to subside. Oh, we got some polystyrene somewhere here in the pond. Don't want that. I've also noticed that the council have come round and cut all the trees back, so the pond now is filling full of branches. I'm sure the wildlife would like that, so I might leave a bit in, but most of it I'm gonna have to clean that pond ready for spring before the frogs come back and start spawning in there, fingers crossed. Also, if you remember, I lost my fork handle a couple of weeks ago, and I've managed to get a new one that fits. So we're going to take this off, pop it on, and then at least I've got a fork again now, just in case I need to dig something in a no-dig garden. So even if you are no-dig, promise you, there will be times when you might need to dig out a tree or move something from another plot to your plot. So it's always handy if you've got those things. I remember one gardener on site saying, oh, I've got rid of my fork and my spade because I'm no dig now, and madness. There's always something. So let's get this on. Rain. I popped down to the grapevine garden as well, pick up a few more sprouts. After talking about them, I felt like, you know, it'd be nice to get a couple more for my tea this afternoon. I forgot my bobble hat as well, which was stupid because I'm now wet. But I also picked up a few seeds that I'd left in the shed as well, because I've got this little box that I bought, and it's 6 compartments. I bought 2 of them for the months of the year. I think the first box will be used mostly because it'll be January to June, and that's pretty much the growing season. But I think it'll separate into January, February, March, April, May, June, and then I'll know which seeds I need for each month. And then if I'm sowing them again in the following month, I can move them out of February into March and so on. So that's what I'm going to do later on after I get out of all this rain. Let's get the jobs done.
Hey darling, can I tell you what's been on my mind? Sick and tired of the 9 to 5 in the city life. Hey darling, we could get out of town, see the beautiful world around, wanna see it now. Pack our bags and get in that car, leave a little note and we'll drive real far. Let's get out, we can leave this city, let's drive to the open air. Yeah, the countryside is so pretty, with the wind blowing in your hair. We can look back someday, baby, don't you understand that we only get one life? I wanna make it count, honey, come on now and take my hand. Hey darling, I love it when it's me and you, on the road with a couple of tunes in a car for 2. Hey darling, you know we're gonna have a really good time, driving in the middle of the night when the stars are bright. Pack our in that car. Leave a little note and we'll drive real far. Let's get out, we can leave this city. Let's drive to the open air. Yeah, the countryside is so pretty, with the wind blowing in your hair. We can look back someday, baby, don't you understand? Yeah, we only get one life, I wanna make it count, honey. Come on now and take my hand.
Woo! I am well happy now that this one's in and that one's in, and it just feels like this part now is done. I've got a few more jobs to do on here and then the grapevine garden, so I am well happy. It's raining, but still the smiles on my face. I'm Danny and this is Grow Up.